Okay, welcome to Tanya Inside Out, G4 Tafshim Pei Hey, and we're in chapter 6. We're in part 2. We'll finish it today with Zlat Hashem, but last week we made a running start at chapter 6, and we're about halfway through. There's still some very important things to discuss. Okay, so first, as a quick recap, we spoke about Sitra Achra and Klipa. They are synonymous terms, but Sitra Achra is referring to like the essence of Ra, which is all Ra. There's other words as well for the same phenomenon. But Sitra Achra is referring to the essence of Ra, and the essence of Ra is there is no essence. It doesn't have any. If you follow Ra back to its source, you'll find nothing. Yeah, whereas if you follow Toiv back to its source, you'll find Rabban Shalom. So Sitra Achra defines Ra as it's just not this side. It's not the side of Kedusha. It's the other side.
You'll find Toiv.
If
and the other end of Ra, you'll find Toiv. This comes from the source of Toiv.
Yeah, that's true. But
in the greater scheme of understanding, we don't get it. We don't see it because we have a minimal.
Yeah, but so then it's not really Ra. The illusion of Ra, well, that's the point. That's why there's nothing. That's exactly the point. It has no essence. There is no Ra. Yeah, it doesn't exist. Although it looks like it does.
Don't you need the Ra to appreciate the Tov?
Yeah, but that Ra is by definition it's a non-thing. It's the Ra does allow you to appreciate the Toiv, but what is it that is Ra? Well, there's only Toiv. Hod Hashem ki Toiv ki lo ilam chastoi. So the concept of Ra is not. It doesn't have any mamashas to it. Exactly, and you'll see. By the way, also just like practically, you can have a crazy taiva to do something that isn't Peseda, and if you can just be oimed al nisayon for that bit more that you think, just once you think you're going to die, just that teeny bit further, it's like poof, you can't even imagine why it was such a big deal 5 minutes ago. I'm saying it just these things it's so you know that, and that's the inyan of the tzaddikim in the Gemara where the tzaddikim and the Rishayim are crying at the Yetzer Hara, and the tzaddikim are looking at the mountain, and the Rishayim are looking at a hair. Yeah. Okay, so Sitra Achra is alluding to the non-existence of Ra is like, it's not correct. It's just, it doesn't have an essence. It doesn't have an essence. It has expression and it looks like something, but it doesn't have an essence.
As in Mamash?
Exactly. Like Hoyshech is a chasaron of Or, so Ra is a chasaron of Toiv, and like you said last week, the inyan of Bria is a chasaron. The avodah of Bria is a removal. That's the whole inyan of creation. It's a removal. It takes on its own apparent reality, but it's a chasaron. Okay, and our job is to fill that chasaron with Toiv. Okay, so that's Sitra Achra. Klipa is alluding to the fact that it conceals, it basically presents you with an alternative option. There's now another agenda because of Ra, which is always my own agenda. Don't ever get duped into thinking that you're dealing with loads of different problems. Yeah, there's only one problem, is your independent sense of self. That's it. Everything else is an outgrowth of that. The more you can, so to speak, create distance from your sense of self, you won't lose all sense of self. I don't know if that's possible for a normal person. I don't know, and I don't know if that's the purpose anyway. But to at least be able to distance yourself from your sense of self, so that when your inner world is saying do it, and you know it's not the right thing to do, you're able to just turn around and say, shut up, leave me alone. As opposed to if it's you saying do it, then who's the one who's going to say shut up? That's our avoid. If we can, that's one of the reasons why the way I understand it is that Chabad didn't put a big dagesh on kedusha sabris and shmir sabris, and there's a big dagesh in other drachim on shmir sabris, because the way I see it is it doesn't need to. Shmir sabris is a chitzonius manifestation. Again, the way I see it is another manifestation of the fact that you take yourself too seriously. Some people don't have a problem with Shmir Sabris. There's some people, not many of us, but there's a few people who the Tanya talks about who are mitzonen b'teva. They're cold, frigid people, and they just don't have that taiva particularly, and they'd rather be in a laboratory studying physics or something. Yeah, that's their thing. So everyone's got different things. So the way that I understand Tanya is he doesn't pick out any specific aveiros, because the way I see Tanya is it's working on the deeper level that's kind of like the silver bullet to all aveiros, which is just the fact that you can't say no to yourself. Whether it's Shmir Sabris, whether it's Shmir Saloshen, whether it's davening correctly, whether it's getting up in time for Kriya Shema, whatever your fill in the blank, yeah, if you just stop taking yourself so seriously, it would all fall into. It's hard to hear it, but it would all just fall into place. So really, we should be learning. The way I see it is not about There's a time and a place for learning everything, yeah, in Torah. But the foundation of everything should be spent trying to understand what that voice inside me that says do it. What is that? And that will give me that's like I'm lifting up the whole game, as opposed to just Shmir Sabris is so, or Shmir Sanayim, and you're going to go to Gehenna and it's mamash matama your eyes, and then it will be give a pagam to the children who are born from that. And I'm not making light of it. I suppose I am. I don't mean to I'm not making fun of it. I'm just saying that maybe that will give you koyach in one area, but if you just really go to the root of everything, which is your own sense of pleasure, and now go there and start fighting that. Start not getting upset, or at least you can't not get upset, but when the guy at shul sits in your place, yeah, and you're not sure what's going on, yeah, it's okay, you'll be all right. You'll be okay. What about if you have where you live in your building, you have your own parking spot, yeah, and you come home and someone's in your parking spot. You're not on the street, in your building, yeah. That's really good. That's now you're in a good position. Suck on it. And I'll give you an even better piece of advice: is if you see the guy getting in his car driving away, don't look. Don't let yourself see who it was. Then you can just concentrate on the fact that you're Big Balgaiva and not that he's a Russia. It's probably verstehen. When you see someone doing something bad or someone cuts you up in the road, that's a good avoider not to look. And then you don't have to bring in any sinus chinam into the Indian. Anyway, so Klipa makes you feel like you're you, and that's the problem. Okay, so that's the Indian of Klipa Sitra Achra, which is synonymous, yeah. Within Klipa, Sitra Achra is the klali term for the entire Klipa. We said Klipa divides into two qualities. There's Klipas Noiga and Klipas Tameus, which means the translucent Klipa and the opaque Klipa. The translucent Klipa is our job description. We're here to fix that. That is the role of Yidden in the world. We can't touch the Klipas Tameus. That's things that are forbidden. The way that you're masakan a chazir is, there's probably a bunch of ways, but the two most obvious ways that you can fix, that you can be male a pig. How is a Jew male a pig? Well, number one, the obvious way is if you have a taiva to eat that and you don't eat it, then that pig got some kind of aliyah. Another way is through your home help. If you have someone who's not Jewish helping in the house, and they've eaten chazir, and that's how the whole world gets lifted up through the Jew. It all goes through the Jew. That's just how he set up the system. So, yeah, Klipas Noiga is everything you see in the world, basically, except for the things that are forbidden, are from Klipas Noiga. And we'll try and explain what that means in this class, what it means from Klipas Noiga. Yeah? And everything that is forbidden, which would be forbidden relationships, or forbidden foods, forbidden thoughts, forbidden behaviors, they all get their energy from Klipas Tumeis, which is, or more like their energy is concealed within Klipas Tumeis. All energy is holy, so that's locked away, and that can't be accessed. Okay, we spoke about the structure of the human soul. Where did we get to last week? I don't remember. Oh, and these. Yeah. So, we did. We started. We spoke about the idea of the 10. A soul divides into 10 koiches. Yeah. Which you could call. You can't really call it the spheres. It's a mirror of the spheres. They're not called spheres. He calls them bechinas or koiches, whatever. So it breaks down always into Seichel and Midas. Yeah, Chabad. According to Chabad, it's Chabad. Most times in that Arizal, it's Kachab, which is Keser Chochma Bina, and Keser, the relationship between Keser and Das is a little more complicated. Either way, there's Moichin and then there's Midas. Moichin gives birth to Midas, meaning that if you don't know about something, you can't have feelings towards it. Just as simple as that. And the more you know about it, the more deeper your feelings can become towards it. So Midas are born, emotions are born from intellect. Now the question becomes, once the Midas, there's no way around that, yeah? If a Midas is born without intellect, it's a chemical, it's purely a chemical thing. But emotions generally are chemicals anyway, but there could maybe be exceptions, but the majority, in the vast majority of times, the Midas are born from intellect. Now, once the Midas are born, once the emotions are born from intellect, what is their relationship to intellect? That's the question. So, just before we backtrack very quickly, we said that the Rebbe described the 10 koiches that create your human soul as the Esa Kism de Mesavusa, the 10 crowns of impurity. And what he was meramis to there is the fact that the it's really called a parts of. It doesn't help people that much. How do you say parts of?
Presence.
No, it doesn't.
Facade.
Structure, maybe structure. The structure of the soul, yeah, that's also a bit of a bullshit. But the structure of the soul is mamash fragmented. The very structure of the animal soul is fragmented. You have to know that. That's why it sees the world as an antagonistic, fragmented place. Your animal soul looks at another person and asks, "Will you help me or will you hinder me? If you can help me, I'll bring you close. If you will hinder me, I'll push you away. If you don't help or don't hinder, then I'm apathetic. I have no opinion on you." That's that why, because there's no unity in Klippa. The very definition of Klippa is fragmentation, isolation, separation, independence. In the Sfarim it calls it a dava bifnei atzmai. A person who's very Klippidik feels incredibly alone. Maybe I'll just say this as a side. It's not really on. It kind of is on topic, but the avodah of marriage is is ascending from aloneness. What that means, the way I understand it, is that the avodah of marriage is that the essence of you and the essence of your wife become one. Your names remain distinct. Like you stay you, she stays her, but the very essence of who you are merges. And this is an amazing, it's like a cute way of saying it. I said it to my dad this week, and it's like not really on topic, but you'll appreciate it, and then we'll move on. What's the difference between feeling alone and being lonely?
Feeling alone is a physical sensation, and being lonely is emotional.
You could be alone but not lonely. You could be alone but not lonely.
You could be what they say. You in your mind, it seems clear that you could be lonely but feel not alone, or you could.
With a lot of people and still be lonely.
Exactly. So listen to this. It's amazing. It's really a very amazing idea that Manis explains that if a man and a wife kind of do it properly, I suppose, after 60 years of marriage, and that doesn't mean there isn't bickering and fighting and that can be very healthy in a sense. A good marriage is not a marriage where there's no fighting. That's not. It could be, but that's not the definition of a good marriage. Yeah, there could be a lot of surface friction. There could be a lot of surface friction in the marriage. That's not. I mean, hopefully there won't be. That's just annoying that it has to be. That it would be like that. But the definition of a good marriage is that the inner worlds merge with each other, and that means that you could be bickering and whatever, but in truth you're mamash one with each other. And that would be, so then in that sense, it would be an old lady who loses her husband, who's been married for 50 odd years, she will be lonely, but she won't feel alone. She merged with another human being, her husband. Now he's gone, his body's not there, whatever, but she's not alone, bichlal. She's not alone, but she's mamash lonely. She's lonely, but she's not alone. Yeah? And for Keret, the socialites in Hollywood, in Beverly Hills, wherever they hang out, the socialites, they're like useless people who have a lot of money and very pretty, who just socialise the whole time, that's what they do, They could be, I mean, I don't know, maybe they're nice people, I don't know, but there's a good chance that person could never ever have a chance of feeling lonely, because they're with people the whole time, but they feel abject aloneness. You know what I mean? One is a kind of situational. Feeling lonely is a situational, logistical thing, and feeling alone is a soul thing. That's a very real thing. Yeah. So, and that's the shoresh of all trauma and everything bad is that aloneness. Maybe that was the reason why Hashem made the world in the first place. I don't know. So the animal soul is fragmented, and like it says in the Agada, Hayotzias Hatzma min haklal. A person who's completely bound up in his animal soul is, by definition, Yotzias Hatzma min haklal. He sees the world as a bunch of fragmented,
selfish things.
Selfish as in they're independent. They're not. And there's no cohesiveness. And that comes from the structure. It's very structure. So the fact that he looks at all the different avoids, like we say clearly, Tzadik be'emunaso yichya, that Habakkuk was oimed the entire Torah al achas, Tzadik be'emunaso yichya, meaning that by the tzaddikim, the whole Torah is just one thing. It splits into 613 mitzvahs, which further divide into, endless halachas and gezeros and tekanas and v'chulei. But to the tzaddik, there's just one. That's how the tzaddik navigates his way through this world. To the tzaddik, there's not really a difference whether he's earning money or sitting in front of the Torah. He might enjoy more learning Torah. But if you've got to do this, you've got to do this. It's not about my own. There's just a oneness. There's just a oneness. That's very, very healthy. So from the animal soul that in its essence is fragmented, it looks at, not only does it look at everything in the world as a separate, to say antagonistic might be a little strong, but a separate antagonistic entity, but it also experiences itself in that way, its own life. There's no cohesiveness in its life. It doesn't come together. There's no, what are they looking for in the world? The unifying field theory, yeah? Everyone knows that there's some kind of, something that's going to bind the whole thing together. That's what to share. It's called Torah, by the way. So that's the very structure of the animal soul. And like we said now, what happens in the animal soul, the function of the animal soul, once the emotions are given birth, meaning that whatever we've thought about has generated some kind of emotion to it. Now what happens to the emotions? And Rav Shais Taub said it very beautifully, is that they become like spoiled children. And in the unholy soul, in the animal soul, the emotions hijack the seichel. And they use the seichel to fulfill their own selfish, immature needs. Just like spoiled children. Spoiled children manipulate the parents in a way that gets them what they want, whereas really the relationship between parents and children should be parents educating the children. That you need to get to you need to guide your children as opposed to them hijack your resources and let them guide themselves. That's a disaster. Yeah? So that's the mechanics of the animal soul. The animal soul is primarily emotional. And to call the neshama primarily intelligent is like a bit of it's not entirely correct to say that, but for all intents and purposes, how we're learning it right now, you can say that the mechanics of the godly soul is intelligence leads emotions, and the mechanics of the animal soul is emotions lead intelligence.
I suppose when we are able to fill ourselves truly with godliness and then our nefesh bahamis emotions which hijack usually the system are here literally to serve like crazy, and they become kula kodesh, even though they look like they could hijack the system. No, they're here for the right purpose.
That's exactly the avodah. The avodah is taking the emotions of the animal soul.
Nefesh alikis is not planned and tied just intellectual. It's actually the nefesh alikis, and the ideal nefesh alikis is actually together with the nefesh bahamis.
Each nefesh is a complete partzuf. It's made of emotions.
One without the other is no purpose. Even the nefesh alikis without the nefesh bahamis is no purpose. I have to work on nefesh bahamis so my nefesh alikis can actually have some sort of function,
something to do,
and something to achieve.
That is your job. Your job description as a Jew is your nefesh bahamis. That is our job. That is our personal job description.
Yeah.
There's the lifting up of the world, and that in a sense gets done even through mitzvahs and nashim and milamada. When you're just doing mitzvahs stam without any kavana, there's already an aliyah that the world gets an aliyah, but you didn't get an aliyah. You didn't raise up the part of reality that you really are entrusted to raise up. Because if you didn't pick up that lulav and esrog, somebody else might have picked up that lulav and esrog, and that lulav and esrog would have got an aliyah. But who's going to lift up your animal soul? Maybe that's the job of a teacher also. But that is the tzad hashava in all the mitzvahs that we're doing, is the humanity that we're bringing to the mitzvah. The humanness that you bring to the mitzvah, the energy, whatever you want to call it, the nefesh that you bring to the mitzvah, that's the tzad hashava for all mitzvahs. So when tefillin you raise up cows and ink. In mezuzah you raise up doorposts and houses and ink and cows. In tzitzis you raise up sheep and grass, whatever. In all these things you raise up different stuff, but in every single mitzvah you are being raised up. The being that does the humanity of the Jew is getting lifted up. Okay? Okay. Oh, good, we said that. Yeah. Okay. Now we have to explain something a little bit complex, but it's really amazing if we can. Let me just explain one more quick thing. Is that the question is that you might ask, if we just said that in the animal soul, the emotions lead the intellect, well, that's basically the natural default program. Yeah. So you might.
I'm sorry, intellect is the chokhmah or intellect is the bina?
Let's call it the whole thing. This is seichel. The seichel is chokhmah bina das. Let's say.
So the whole.
Yeah, like chokhmah is the pesach that allows the energy that generates the bina. So you like to call chokhmah part of the seichel is already a little whatever, but we do. So we get chokhmah bina das. It's very important, by the way, just in response to that, to be aware of the definition dial. Not definition as in like explaining something, the definition as in the high or low definitionness. Yeah, the resolution, sorry. It's very important to know that dial, because there's a lot of times that what you just asked was a kasha to you because you have a higher resolution image of what I was talking about. So in a lot of cases we have to dial down the resolution and lose nuances just to get and then you add the resolution. Just a nice way of saying it. That, since I mentioned that to my chavrusa, this resolution idea, we learn Oitzvus Chaim and Gemor with each other. Yeah, in 1 hour we have like half an hour Oitzvus Chaim, half an hour Gemor, and it's just so helpful. The resolution idea. In both, I mean, you don't get too much more different limudim than Oitzvus Chaim and Shalom Aleichem, than Oitzvus Chaim and Bava Basra. It's so applicable in both, unbelievably applicable in both limudim. Okay, so the question would be, if in the natural soul your emotions are not guided by the intellect, yeah. Well, how comes when you're 5 years old, you're into, Tonka toys, whatever, and when you're 35 years old, you're into like Rolex watches? What happened? The question, that sounds like intellect played a role. Why is it, if intellect doesn't play a role and the emotions just run the show, why is it that after 30 years you're not into you don't just have like a really big Tonka toy set, like the whole with all the bells and whistles? But no, you've progressed into more expensive, more valuable toys. Yeah.
You appreciate value.
So that is a function. So the way that Tanya says it, the word that Rav Manis uses to translate it is commensurate. It's that on a natural level, just by being in this world, your mind expands naturally, and you see a person who doesn't put any effort into moving himself somewhere. Yeah, he will move from caring about Tonka toys and Cluffin to Rolex watches. Meaning that's all in the same place of Gashmias. Yeah, he didn't move into like social causes or power, ambitions in power. Or it didn't move places. It just changed in size.
Equivalent.
Huh?
It's equivalent.
It's what it is. It's the emotions that expanded in line with the seichel.
You see, like Southern, like America and the South, in general,
they just get involved in guns.
They get big trucks. They have big trucks,
and then the guns and
bigger trucks.
Exactly, that's the point. It's exactly the point. So we just cast it off as like big toys with all the mechanics, the way I've understood it.
Big toys.
Yeah, the mechanics is that as you just see more stuff, you see that this truck is bigger, this truck is faster. This gives me more of a feel, whatever it is, yeah? The emotions naturally move there. That's completely the opposite of a person who sits there and reads the right material, sits with the right people, discusses the right ideas, where he's no longer impressed by Gashmias Bichlal. He's now wants something more, something different, yeah? That's Kadosh. that's kadosh, as opposed to the natural way is that your emotions just expand in relation to your mind, and your mind expands just by being in the world and looking around. It's like, like a tree grows, yeah, but it's always a tree. It's really it's like an animal grows. It's always an animal, yeah. A human being, if he's growing correctly, he doesn't grow like a tree or an animal. A daddy tree is just a big tree. A daddy lion is just a big lion. You should be a different Metzius. Every couple of years, you should look back at yourself and scoff. You should be amazed at what a loser you were 2 years ago, or how different you see everything. And as a teacher, when you listen to your shirim from a couple of years ago, you should be you should have moved on. The resolution should have been turned up much higher, and you'll realise certain things you were saying were not really correct. Not the whole thing should be correct, but that's what a human being is. He doesn't grow like a tree. He grows in a completely different way. You could say it like this, that a tree grows outwards and a human being grows upwards.
Kind of describing more metamorphosis than growth.
Something like that, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a nice way of saying it. Yeah, you should be constantly incinerating what you were. That was what Avram said, Anochi Afa Ve'efer. Whatever I was, I incinerated, and that became the ash that allowed me to become a new butterfly, which then again ossified into a whatever, and again and again and again. So it happens with the forest fires. They eventually, they're machaya, the ash of the trees are machaya the ground in a way that wouldn't have been possible otherwise.
It's very machaya. We eat cholent, we kill each other inside with a lot of cholent, and you feel dead, and then you have kosher for a new week.
Okay, so let's get this idea now. And this we're trying to explain now what it means that...
We're human beings.
The what?
We're human beings.
Bezrat Hashem.
We're human beings.
Bezrat Hashem.
And this, I've been hearing a lot lately about this bitul and not looking at the gashmiut, but I think even you said that in the end we also have to enjoy the gashmiut.
Wait, I didn't say anything about bittul. I cannot never use the word bittul.
Okay, so maybe it's not.
And I also didn't say you can't enjoy the gashmis.
I mean, there's cool stuff, like cars are cool, and
yeah.
you're a photographer, right? So
I love cars.
So cameras
I love cars.
Lenses are cool, right?
I love cars. Yeah, that's a little less cool. Okay, fine, but cars are cool. Cars are amazing. They're an amazing. They're
graphic cards for computers, and
I agree with you. There are amazing things everywhere.
Fun.
Why can't you enjoy that? Yeah.
But
They're not important. And you know that as well. You can enjoy them. A car is, in my mind, a car is this amazing coming together of the arts and the sciences, and nothing else does that. Like aeroplanes, stuff like that. But anyway, you look at a beautiful car. Maybe, like even the iPhones, they're beautiful. They're amazing. They're amazing. You can behold. Chat. AI is like wow. But don't get. Again, it's the idea of enjoy it. It's like when you hear people talk. I'm sorry if I'm going to offend anybody here. Yeah, I'm not really. You should be offended by this. That some people who talk about coffee. You ever heard people who talk about coffee? I was on a plane one time and I was by the bathroom. Yeah, and there were two guys talking about coffee, like mamash. It was unbelievable. I was there for like 5 minutes. They could have gone on the whole night. Unbelievable. I'm just like. You know what I'm saying? That so the gashmis is the
ego. It's not the ego.
Yeah, but it's enjoy it, but don't get distracted by it. Don't think it's important.
But what if you elevate that amazing cup of coffee to the point that it's like you can't get the regular instant coffee elevated to the same way you can elevate coffee.
So you enjoy it more.
So that's great. Again, so you really enjoy it. It's really pleasurable for you. Fine, but it's just keep things in perspective, and even to have a conversation on coffee is like, it can, especially if, like the things I talk about with my kids on Shabbos is like, you have to bring in their tainug and that, it's not about just talking Torah. It's you have to go to them, so there's a time and place for all this stuff. If it's not osa, but just like don't that's not what life's about. That's the point, yeah? It's like I say this all the time, that there's a difference, a really big difference between a guy who, he's going to bed, it's 11:30 at night, yeah? And he's just in the kitchen and there's a nice chocolate bar in the pantry and he eats it. There's a big difference between that and a guy who at 11:30 at night gets in his car and drives half an hour to a gas station to buy a bar of chocolate. That's the point. One is enjoying a bar of chocolate and the other guy is enslaved to a bar of chocolate. That's the point. These things make wonderful servants and terrible masters. That's the way of saying it. Technology makes an amazing servant and the worst master. Yeah, money makes a fantastic servant and a terrible master. Your heart makes an amazing servant and a terrible master. That's the way of looking. That's the way of looking at it. Are you worshipping it or are you drafting it? Okay, so now let's get. This is a bit complicated, but it should be okay. Okay, so look at this cup. Yeah, what we're trying to explain now is this idea of things come from Klippus Noiga, things come from Klippus Timaeus, things are Kadosh. What does that mean? What does it really mean? It comes from there. It derives its life force from there. Yeah. So the easiest way that I've understood this to explain this is a cup. Yeah. For example, the cup's a bit annoying because it has like a hole in it. But let's just say it's a closed. Let's say it's closed. Anyway, a cup has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Every physical object has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Now you can appreciate that a physical object. You can look at this pen. This is better. Yeah, you can appreciate that this is deriving its energy from somewhere. I'm not a physicist, yeah, but on a level of physics, I know that this is basically congealed energy. And the fact that it's all staying together in this configuration there's something mystical, miraculous going on that keeps it like this, yeah? Everyone knows that. That's called, I think, the weak nuclear force. You're the strong nuclear force. I think it's the strong nuclear force, maybe. Either way, it keeps stuff together. So you could say in a sense that this physical object is deriving its life force from somewhere. And you can appreciate that because your body is deriving its life force from the nefesh, and that means that when the nefesh leaves the body, yeah, within a few weeks, the body doesn't exist anymore. Just the bones are left, maybe, yeah? So it's deriving its energy from somewhere. Everyone's clear with that? Everyone's happy with that? This is somehow deriving energy from somewhere. Yeah, it's clear. No, I'm just because we're going to go the next step, which is going to be harder to understand. We have to get this clear first. That this pen has a life source, and that life source is keeping it together. If it wasn't for this life source, this pen would just the atoms of the pen would disband, and it would not be. It just wouldn't be. Yeah, I'd love to say, imagine what that would look like if the atoms just disband. What? Is that what that is? Yeah. Okay.
And
Disintegrates things, no?
entropy and
Okay, so either way, so there's some force keeping this together. Okay. Now this is what we're going to explain is the life force. We're going to use the same idea, but that was just a moshel to understand this. We're about to say of behavior. So the reason why we can appreciate that this has a life force is because it has a beginning, it has a middle, and it has an end. Yeah, it has a measurement. It has a shiur. The shiur of this gives it its you could say it's kli. It's the chiyas. See, everything is chai v'kayam.
essence.
I'm not sure what you mean by that, but everything is chai v'kayam. Yeah. This is a little bit off topic, but this is a really important idea. Is everything exists in the same way? What exists more, you or the table? What exists more? What?
No, you.
No.
You want to say the same, but
Yeah, there's I mean, it exists. There's not madregas in existing. It either does or doesn't exist. It's just yes or no. Do you exist? Yes. Does the table exist? Yes. Does the rock exist? Yes. Does the sun exist? Yes. Just yes. That's it. Ken, with a chaf. Ken, yes. So there's no madregas in kiyum. Yeah? Kiyum is just it does or it doesn't. Chiyus is kulu madregas. It's only madregas. So what's got more chiyus? A rock or a tree? A tree. What's got more chiyus, an animal or a tree? An animal. What's got more chiyus, a human or an animal? A human. So on the levels of on the level of kingdoms, we call it in English. Yeah, you have the doimem tzveachai medaber. You have a inanimate, vegetable, animal, human. Yeah.
What was the animal? What was the human above the animal?
Great. So I was just going to say that now. So to make it really simple on a really low resolution, which is really helpful, is a rock is, yeah? A tree grows. An animal behaves. And a human thinks. Those are the primary differences. That a rock does have a minimum level of chiyus. We'll explain that in a minute. But basically, a rock is a revelation of kiyum. It just is. Yeah, its life force is unnoticeable. Maybe by the sides there is no life force there. Yeah, but in Torah there is life force. So it's the rock is, the tree grows, which includes reproduction, which is a big insight into what reproduction is. Reproduction is growth, meaning you have children, but they're you. They're just an extension of you. That is what reproduction is. So growth is reproduction. Yeah. Also, maybe say it's breathing as well. I don't know. Then an animal behaves because it has emotions, which emotions and movement. A tree doesn't have movement. Vegetables don't have movement. Yeah, they just have growth. Yeah, but an animal has movement, which is emotions, because emotions move. That's why they're called emotion. They help their energy to move. Yeah, and then a human being on top of that has intellect. Intellect is a whole different level of energy to emotion, a higher level of life. So what does it mean, the life? Well, what's the difference between the life of fire and the life of water? Everyone agrees, yeah, that water and fire exist as much as each other, yeah? One second. Everyone agrees that water and fire exist as much as each other. If you have a fire, there's fire that you could, but still, there's a fire there.
But fire is all energy, and water, there's a substance to it and energy.
Well, everything's energy, no?
But fire has no physicality, no substance. It's all energy.
No body to it.
Water sustains life.
It does. If not, you wouldn't have seen it.
No.
Whatever you see, that's
What you see is energy.
Fire destroys.
Fire needs
Water
something
creates,
else to live
sustains
on.
life and creates life. Fire destroys.
I mean, if I don't have any fire can cook me a nice meal. Without fire, I won't have a nice meal.
It's destroying the molecules in the meat, and that's what it's doing.
That allows me to eat. There's a lot of food. If I don't cook it, I'll get
It
ill.
doesn't create the meat. It destroys them.
The fire can make
By the way,
bricks.
cooking
Fire
is the
can
only
make
art-
bricks to help you build your
Cooking is
house.
the only art
Yeah,
that you have to
water
destroy
contains
in
its own space. and
That's
fire
very
needs
interesting.
something else
Anyway, but listen to
to
the
live off.
simple way of understanding it is the difference between the life force of fire. See, again, we've said that everything kiyum is always the same. Yes or no?
Fire can
Binary.
expand. Fire can keep growing.
So every if we sat there and had a list of the differences between fire and water, we would be describing the life of fire and water. Fire is orange, it goes up, it's hot, it's dry, it causes things to break apart, yeah? Water is colourless, it's cold, it's wet, it goes down, it levels out, it causes things to come together. The more we could, what makes fire fire and what's makes water water is its chiyus. That the chiyus is the qualities of the water, not the existence of the water. Water is, just like fire is, yeah? So why is water water and fire fire? Because the life of water is a zoe, and the life of fire is a zoe. That's its place in creation, in reality, yeah? That's its place in creation.
That's called chiyus, you say.
That's called the chiyus. So the avoida of Yiddishkeit. So why does David say Chai v'Kayam? This is the Chiddush of what's going to be in, I don't know what stage of the end of days, but at some point.
So are water and fire considered
Is that, one minute, is that your Kiyum, this is what the Ramchal speaks about in a very coded way, is that the Kiyum in Asid Lavoi will have Madregas to it. We can't understand what that means. We've got no reference point for that Bichlal. That's the inyan of using the Chiyas. The Chiyas impacts the Kiyum. That's why David says Chai v'Kayam. Avadai I'm Kayam, but I'm Chai v'Kayam. He imbued Chiyas into his Kiyum. That's what we're here to do. Okay, that's a very big topic itself. But let's try and focus back to the whole point of what we're saying here. Is that everything has, so you could call the Kiyum it exists, and the Chiyas is the Midas. Is its Midas. Is its measurement. It's fires like this because it's like this. That's a measurement. That's like the beginning, the middle, and the end. Yeah? So the life of this pen is, it's hard, it writes, it's green, whatever you want to say. Now this is why we did all of that. Is your behaviour is the same thing. If you in to understand Al Pi Chasidus, yeah. Remember, Chasidus is always about stripping away the Chetzonius and getting to Panemius. So although we think that when you do something, for example, I do you a favour and I take your clothes to the laundry, yeah? And what's that got to do with a pen? It's like taking someone's clothes to the laundry is a spiritual. I know I picked up the clothes and I took them to the dry laundry, but it's not. You can't compare that to a physical object. But not only can you compare it to a physical object, it's exactly the same thing. Conceptually, it has a beginning and a middle and an end. There's a start to just like this pen begins here and ends here. Me picking up your dry cleaning, that's the beginning, and me giving it back to you, whatever, take it there, whatever it is, that's the end. Yeah? Now, what creates this form? Well, I'm taking your dry cleaning to the laundry. I'm not giving you a massage, or I'm not mowing your lawn. So it's what it is. It's what it is. Just we're so caught up in the physicality of the world that that's a mind bend for us. But it's you hear it, yeah? It's clear. It's exactly the same thing. It just doesn't have a gashmiousness.
What kingdom does that fall under? That don't mean that.
So that's telling on the energy that you put into it. That's exactly the point. Mitzvahs anashim u'melamada. Mitzvahs anashim u'melamada. Mitzvahs anashim u'melamada means that act is a doimem. Yeah? Ahava Tavius, the natural love that a Jew has for Hashem, if that act is imbued with a natural love, just that's who you are. Now it's a Sameach. Yeah. If that love has an if that act has an intelligent love motivating it, yeah, which means you were misboinen and you really like with Shimai Zolberg. You ever watch him? He's on fire. Yeah, that's mamash ava sichlius, meaning he's been misboinen into inyanim so deeply that he's on fire for Rabbeinu Shalom. Yeah, so those mitzvahs are kneged medaber, and also so I made wait 1 minute. Mitzvahs nashim mother.
No, kneged chai.
No. Yeah, mitzvahs and nashim mother is the two. Those the two. Someach and doimem go together. Sorry, and then mitzvahs that are done with a natural love. These are some of the most difficult prakim in Tanya. The mitzvahs done with a natural love. They are the world of Yetzirah, which is the midas, which is emotions, which is like a chaya, and the mitzvahs done with a love that is generated from the mind, which is a very powerful love, those mitzvahs go into the world of Bria. It says, what?
Medaber.
And that's the Lashon Medaber, And then the mitzvahs of Yisrael would be connected to Tzilus, where that's called Makova, where it goes beyond all human emotion.
It's really 5 kingdoms.
You can't call Yisrael a kingdom, like in that sense.
Above Medaber.
What?
Above Medaber.
It's what?
You can't see above Medaber.
Well, you can, but it's not. It's the difference between Yisrael and Medaber is infinitely more than the difference between Medaber and Doimem. One is a Nivra, one is a Netzel. They're not. They're of different qualities. They're not. You understand? So anyway, that was a side point. But I appreciate that question. That's great.
But the actions can only come from a medaber, because like thoughtful action, an intended action can only come from a medaber.
Yeah. Okay. That's
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, animals do stuff also, but
Right.
not intentionally. Yeah. But that's not what we're discussing. We're trying to just explain that this pen is no different from you saying something nice to your wife. Look, if you can conceptualize it like that, you're in a really good place. You understand what I'm saying?
Question is,
She has to be, right?
conceptualize?
No. That's
I
not.
mean, this pen means I love you.
You saying something nice to your wife or to your friend or to whoever it is what? It's a being. That's the point.
As a kiyam and a chiyus.
It's a being. It's a thing. Behavior is a thing. Okay, it doesn't have it doesn't have physicality. You can't hit someone in the head with it, but conceptually it's a thing.
From the chiyus perspective, it's 100% the same. From the kiyam perspective, one has elements to it.
Yes.
It's still 100% the same.
Even though
Kiyam is
the
exactly the
kiyam,
same. They both exist.
It doesn't have the same
Yeah, well,
kid.
no,
That's
it
part of its
doesn't exist
chiyas.
in
This is part of its chiyas. The fact that it has.
Kiyam just exists.
Can-
It is.
I don't know if you've got time to go
Kiyam is just that
here.
it is.
1
It
minute.
exists.
This can claim it is by saying I have a body of plastic this way.
Let me say.
But a concept of saying something nice to something
That happens.
that can't claim for itself. I exist because what?
Because I have it.
I have chiyas. Because I have colors to myself. I have different elements to myself.
That's part of the chiyas, yeah.
But
Oh,
if you
so-
said it and nobody heard it, does it still have the same chiyas?
Yeah, because the Rotzen is a
Right. That's
a Rotzen can be mechanical.
Nowadays, the scientists say that if there's no one in the forest, the tree didn't even fall down. That's what the world says now.
didn't fall
And
down.
that's
Didn't
by
make
the-
a sound.
Didn't even
No,
fall.
it never. It didn't. It doesn't exist. That's how they understand the world nowadays. That and that's why we say Olam Shana Nefesh. See, we've always said the world was made of time, space, energy, and matter. Yeah.
Right.
Times like
Where's
that.
the matter in saying something
But
nice?
Chazal said that matter and energy collapse into one. That's just called nefesh.
And that's not chiyas. That's not.
It's let's it is. But they collapse into one. Kiyam, chomer, and energy, as the scientists of our generation know. Yeah, even I got no scientific background anyway. I read a couple of books, and I know that those like this is just congealed energy. It's just energy, just got hard. So that's Olam Shana Nefesh, and that's whether they could go along in many
That's
different
the whole
directions.
concept of fire that I was saying before. That's the energy that's in the wood or whatever you're burning being released. The fire is the energy being released and converting from the material into energetic.
Okay,
So that's what I was saying.
but there's a combustion of whatever,
Yeah.
and then there's
The
the
energy is being released, just like with nuclear reaction. The energy is splitting the atoms being released, and it's like
Okay.
it's the same.
but
But
min-
the chomer
on
that
a low
contains the
resolution, you're looking.
energy converts to a different chomer while the energy is getting released.
Still, on a simple level, you've got fire, like here. That's fire. And then you've got water, which is like this here. So like that, in that sense. So now that's just like we could appreciate that this pen is deriving its life force from something, now you can appreciate, B'ezrat Hashem, everything you do, everything you say, everything you think. That's what Pikeva says. That it creates a what's the lesson in the Mishnah? The mitzvahs create a malach a matrakel.
What?
Averis create a negative malach. Huh?
Mashkis.
No, it says makatru. Yeah, but anyway, but that's the Indian is that our thought, speech, and action. I don't know my Pikeva. The thought, speech, and action is this. So now, when you do something, the mitzvah, by the way, is not the lulav and esrog. The mitzvah is
You're doing it.
You're doing. So don't think that it's the lulav and esrog we're talking about. That's part of the chiyas of the mitzvah. That's a quality of the mitzvah. There's also the time and the space, and then there's your energy that you bring to the mitzvah, and that creates a thing. A thing. You can't see it. But it creates a thing. You realise why we just did this whole long schlep to get to what we're saying right now? That's what it means by your behaviour comes from klippus noiga, klippus tameas, or kedusha. That's what it means. You got that? Just like this is deriving its life force from something, and this is driving its life force from klippus noiga, When you go and play pool, with your friend in a kosher place, and there's no priestess, and it's not a bad place, or you don't look at the priestess, whatever it is, it's not such a bad place, then it's like a pen. Is it good or bad? It's a pen.
It is.
It is. It just is.
Doimen.
Yeah, it's a doimen. If you went there because your mum was freaking out, you've been working like a dog for like 2 weeks, and you just need to go and shoot some pool, it's kulu kodesh, mamash. So that same act now is deriving its energy from kedusha. Or if you go to a bad place and you're playing pool when you should really be babysitting or learning Torah, then that's klippus tameas. Understand? Anything asa.
Why? Because the rotzen is part of the chiyus. The rotzen is part of the kiyum of the etom.
Why are you doing it?
Therefore, the chiyus. No, not connected to the chiyus. It shows about it's like
no, we know. We just
with the wrong intention. The wrong intentions add up to the.
Well, it's the chiyus and the kiyum. We just
good kiyum.
Stick them together. The chayv kayam. It is. It's a thing. Is it a good thing? Is it a neutral thing, or is it a bad thing? That's all behavior.
You're saying our input and our spiritual input creates the actual kiyum of the thing. It could be bad or good.
The motive, for sure. For sure. But there's also but there's also the inyan of, like, you can have all the nice intentions in the world. If you eat chazir, it's not good. And also you can put on tefillin and Shabbos, exactly. Or you could put tefillin on. I mean, you shouldn't. As in, you could put tefillin on Shabbos, or you could put them on in the toilet. That wouldn't be. That's not. So that's the idea of the behaviour coming from klippus noiga, klippus tameas, or kedusha. When we talk about kadosh behaviour, we are referring to like a kadosh object, like a sefer Torah is kadosh, and that should immediately remind you of the Rebbeinu. Kedusha is a transparent glass. So when you're looking at a clean window, you're not aware of the window bichlal, you're aware of the view on the other side. That's kedusha. That's why if you have some level of sensitivity, if someone puts something on a bencher, or they put something on a bencher, you'll move it off because that's not right. Because the bencher has a gilui of the Rebbeinu in there, and to put a phone on a bencher that's not right. So you would move it away. It bother you. That's because of the kedusha of the thing. If you don't develop some kind of sensitivity to it. So we've got acts that are kadosh, those are called mitzvahs, and we've got acts that are neutral, that's called reshus, that's permissible things that you can do that aren't an avera, that aren't a mitzvah, like eating, for example. And then you've got averas. So where do they draw their energy from. You with me?
For the kiyum. Yes.
We'll just let go there. Just where does it? Because it's a combination.
Where do each of the three draw their energy from? Yes.
No, where does the thing that you're doing? You missed that. There was a lot of layers that we just built onto it.
Hashem keeps everything together.
No.
Not from you.
No.
From us.
What?
From us.
When a person does a mitzvah, that act is comparable to a pen in the concept.
It's characteristics.
Exactly. Thank you. And just like the pen is deriving energy from somewhere, that mitzvah act is deriving its energy from kedusha. And when somebody Chas v'Shalom does an aveira, again, it's a thing. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I was trying to work with for the past half an hour. Is that act is a thing. It's much a thing. And just like this pen is deriving its energy from somewhere, that aveira could be looked at as like an animal, a bird, an object, whatever. That's deriving its energy from klipas tumeis, and that's bringing tumah to the world. You understand? So strip away. Look at the world on a conceptual level. Don't ever look at the world. Not don't ever, but we're striving to see the world on a conceptual level, and then you're in the driving seat. And then, like we said, you don't get duped by this idea of all the different kinds of aveiras, and all of a sudden, avodas Hashem becomes really, really difficult. Where if you look at it conceptually, like when you're looking at it on a very chitzoniistic level, there's the fact that you always shout at people, and then there's your inability to control yourself when you're on the computer, and they don't appear to be related to each other. Although those two things are maybe more. But let's just say you can't control yourself when you're eating. Yeah, you shout at people and you can't control yourself when you eat. Yeah. So now there's two very specific avodas. I've got avodas kas, and I've got avodas achila there. Well, what's the kesher? This one I need to read books about avodas achila. This one I need to read books about kas. Then what's the kesher? Whereas if you go conceptually.
Self-control is the kesher.
Exactly, that's the point. Well, there's also levels below. But if you get to the real root of it, when you think about it conceptually, is there's me wanting to do something. That's it. Now, if I'm caught up in the chetzonius of the world, then these all look like very different things. And all of a sudden, I'm gasping for breath in this very complex and whatever world. Whereas if you go conceptual and you start removing the graphics and start penetrating the actual game that you're playing, exactly,
the same exact key.
It's exactly the point. That's exactly the point. That's really the Indian. To go through the chiyas, to get to kiyum, to get to a level of ken or lo. That's really what? No, through the chiyas. The chiyas is called shame, and the etzem is called kayam. Shame and etzem.
Once I've reached that stage, I can look into the Torah and say, is it also for me to kind of keep it as a kiyum, make it as a kiyum, or is it also for me to make it a kiyum?
To make what?
No, he's saying avoid is to penetrate through the chiyas in order to get to the strip down to the.
Well, don't forget there's many madregas.
Yeah, but once I'm there, then what's that to look at? Is it permissible for me or not?
That would be the ultimate. Right. That would be the ultimate.
Through looking through Allah, through whatever. Yeah.
That's okay. I'll give you a beautiful Torah for this. This is a beautiful Torah. Well, what do we say in the Agada? What's the tikkun for the Russia? Yeah, blunt his teeth. Kaya Shenov. Yeah?
Whitening.
Blunt, not white, blunt to push them down, yeah? So obviously that's talking about the incisors, not the molars, yeah? You have three kinds of, you have molars, canines and incisors, yeah? Mm-hmm. The incisors chop, the canines like hold, we don't use that much, but animals just tend to hide, and the molars grind, yeah? So the problem with the Russia was that he was Yotias Atzman in a cloud. Yotias Atzman in a cloud. He took himself out of the cloud. Yeah, the problem with the Russia is he's looking at the world fragmented. everything's fragmented and piecemeal. Everything's bits. So what's the tikkun for the Russia? You say to the Russia, you blunt his teeth, grind it all up. Stop cutting it into pieces. Grind it into a single pulp, into a gush, into a dava gush. Yeah, that's what grinding does. Go, stop your fragmented way of looking at reality. Blunt your teeth. Yeah, grind it down and start looking at the essence of what everything is. That's the avoider. Yeah, by the Russia. But once you've done that, now what's the avoider? Vishinantam levanecha v'dibarta bo. By Kriya Shema, it says sharpen your teeth. Rashi says over there, Mama, sharpen your teeth. Vishinantam levanecha, that they should be chad on your teeth, like when you're. Should be chad. Yeah?
From which word?
Vishinantam. From teeth. Lashon shein. It said they should be sharp on your teeth, chad on your teeth.
Well, before the Mefirush is the Vishinantam Lashon Mishnah, the teaching, right?
Yeah, Rashi says that, but shinam is from Lashon shein, and it means he says to be chad. He uses the Lashon chad to make sharp your teeth. Why? This is the exact answer.
Why would you say dibur after the word shen if it's not shen?
Yeah, okay, but you can
teach to action, you can teach to speech.
Either way.
Sharpening to know yes and no.
So when a guy's in Russia, he's seeing the world as a mamash, dislocated, fragmented. So we say to him, grind up reality. Yeah, get back to the essence of what's going on. But the other way now, once you're there, Shema Hashem Echad. Now you're there, now cut reality into teeny little fragments and see the echad in all of reality. That's the avodah Shema. That's when you've got things down. That's why it's so important to get a big picture first. In the yeshivas, we just immediately start dissecting reality, which can cause real problems in a sense. Whereas if we spend the first part of our life getting the big picture, now you break down into teeny weeny little pieces and you see in a holographic way that in every teeny fraction of reality is all of reality. That's the avoider. It's a nice one. So, okay. So that's what we mean that behavior is kadosh or neutral or klipadik. Or Klipas Timaeus. Okay. And we finish off chapter Vav by talking about Gullus. Well, this will be the end of the shir. Is that definition of Gullus?
Galut.
Huh?
Galut.
Yeah, what's the definition of Gullus? And then you'll learn by this the definition of Geula. Shantuvia, you're just in time to hear the definition of Gullus and Geula. It's a good time to walk in. Well timed. He said to himself the hassle of having to be here for the hour and a half before. It was hard. Okay, this is very easy but very amazing.
Galut is the absence of peace, while Geula is the peace.
So this is what I received from my Rebbe. It's so simple. It's magnificent. Geula is free-flowing expression. Gullus is impeded expression. Think about somebody in your life now. I don't need to mention any names. Who you would define in your mind as being in a gullus, a personal gullus. And what you're probably thinking about is a person whose behaviour is mamash off, and they're kind of, that's not who they are, but they're acting in a way that's like, that's just the Zelor. It's exactly, they're a killer. That's gullus. Someone smokes cigarettes, yeah? Who doesn't want to smoke cigarettes? Basically, everybody smokes cigarettes. That's gullus. Huh? The what? Slaves. Avadim, yeah. So that's gullus. Avadim, exactly. Avadim. That is gullus. Gullus means that there is an impeded, there is not free-flowing expression. Geula is free-flowing expression. So now we'll talk about it on the micro level, and then we'll finish it off on the macro level. What we mean, Gullus Shechina. It's exactly the same idea. And it's really breathtaking. Excuse me. That a person when a Jew is acting like a human, halavai in many cases, but when a Jew is acting like a human and he's not acting like a Jew, yeah, well then his nefesh elokis is in galus. We're not talking about him acting like an animal, yeah? A human has a choice between two modes of behavior, human or animal. A Jew has the choice between three modes of behavior, Yisrael, human or animal. So a Jew who's acting like a human, who would be a lot of the nice people that I grew up with, who were good, upright, people who just had no understanding of what Torah mitzvahs are, they were being good human beings. They were contributing to society and being, good and helpful and nice, etc. Yeah? But their Yiddishkeit, there was no expression of Yisrael by them. So their Yisrael was in Galus. Their human side was in Geula. Yeah? Their animal side was in Galus. If they're acting like a mensch, yeah, not like Yisrael, but they're acting like a mensch, then so to speak, their behema is in Galus, and their humanity is in Geula. You with me? Yeah. A person you see, it's a three-star thing. So if a guy is acting like a behema, yeah, which happens a lot, yeah, then his behema is in Geula, his humanity and his Yisrael is in Galus. If a person's acting like a human, yeah, then his behema is in Galus because he's being drafted, a good put together guy like Gandhi, yeah. His behema was in Mamash Galus, meaning his behema was being drafted for good stuff, yeah. Wasn't doing what he wanted to do. The behema wanted to do all kinds of funny stuff, yeah, and he was like Mamash doing his thing, yeah. So the behema was in Galus, and his humanity was in a state of Geula. By a Yid, if he is only acting like a human and not acting like a Yisrael, meaning he has no connection to Torah mitzvahs, then his Yisrael is in Galus. And his humanity is expressing itself, and his behavior is in Galus as well, in a sense. It's really not in Galus, it's the behavior is really being drafted. You can't call a horse being ridden as in Galus, it's being used properly.
You said being drafted?
Being drafted.
No.
like meaning like your horse. If you're on a horse. You're on a horse, yeah?
Yeah.
So you're either two options. Either your horse is taking you where it wants to go, or you're guiding the horse where it wants to go. So you can't really say the horse is in Galus. Like we're using it in like a borrowed way, just to get the idea, yeah? So when a Yid has got no kesher to Torah mitzvahs, and he's a good guy, then his Yisrael is in Galus. It's not expressing itself. The Yisrael, and this is what we were touching on last week, is that your Yisrael, your neshama, wants to express itself. Your Yisrael wants to express itself, thank you. Your Yisrael has only one mode of expression, which is Torah mitzvahs.
No, but in that definition, if a Yid is acting like an Israel, then, and he brings, which the definition of that is to, like you said a couple of weeks ago, to bring good to everything, then everything is Geulah, the human and the behemoth.
Absolutely, 100%. That's why I said you can't call it Galus. It's being used for what it's meant to be used for. It's not it's not. It doesn't really want to be doing that. Yeah, I mean, at the beginning, eventually, it will want. You've trained it. You've what's the word? When you do like with a dog. When you train a dog.
Train.
It's a better word, no? Anyway, yeah, like you train
Contain.
Condition it. That's better, maybe. But there's another thing. Anyway, but you train the behemoth. So it becomes like, a guide dog, you're a search and whatever dog, yeah, as opposed to just this wild dog on the thing, yeah. So you could call that like a galus in a sense, but it's not. It's really a geula. Really, when a yid is being a yid, there's a geula for his humanity and for his behemoth, yeah. When a human is being a human, yeah, there's a geula for his behemoth, and when a yid or a human is being a behemoth, then everything else is in galus. Okay, it's clear. Yeah, it's very simple.
Say this one thing. So.
If a yid is acting like a yid, yeah, which means Torah mitzvahs, then the humanity and the behemoth is being drafted into that. Yeah. So if you want to call that Galish,
Nobody's in Galish.
What?
So nobody's
really,
in
in truth, it's no one's in Galish. Yeah. Then if a Jew is just being human, he's being a good guy, then his Yisrael is in Galus, but at least his behemoth is getting elevated a little bit. Yeah. If someone is acting like a behemoth, yeah, then everything's in Galus, whether you're human or Yisrael, same thing.
And the oscillating between one and the other.
Yeah, you can oscillate
momentarily. From 1 second you can go to behemoth to from Goddess to
in behaviour and in motion is a bit more complicated than that, but let's just say okay, so what does it mean that Hashem's in Galus, which is in Yana Diyom and Mamash? What is Galus Shechina? And it's exactly the same Inyan. What is Hashem's behaviour?
Shechina is close, no?
Yeah, let's say this is the core of Mishnas Yisrael, that the Hashem's behavior, like we said, Hashem puts on tefillin, Hashem davens, Hashem wears talis, Hashem learns Torah, gives tzedakah, all this stuff. Yeah, the mitzvahs are His behavior.
Asks verbatim time also.
He does, yeah. And Shmoshe Rabba, he's not that from. So he can have extra arms if you want, so it's not such a big deal. More heads. So Hashem's behaviour is Torah mitzvahs. That's called his malchus. And in his infinite humility, he handed that job over to Am Yisrael. We are his behaviour. To say do his behaviour that's not accurate. We are his behaviour. Just like you are an ingredient in the mitzvah. You said this before, you don't do a mitzvah, you become mitzvah. You're an ingredient, you're the energy ingredient in the mitzvah. You bring the arm to the tefillin. Yeah? The cow brought the tefillin, you bring the arm and the energy to the tefillin. So you're an ingredient in the mitzvah. So to say you do the mitzvah isn't enough, yeah? You are the mitzvah. So Hashem, in his infinite humility, handed his behaviour over to us. When we are not acting in accordance with Torah mitzvahs, that's called Galus Shechina. Meaning his behaviour, he can't act correctly. He's not acting the way he wants to act. He wants his actions are Torah mitzvahs. But when Am Yisrael is not doing that, then that's called the Shekhinahs in Galus. It's the exact same Inyan. We are impeding his expression. Imagine the chutzpah.
So imagine the chutzpah. We're the ones putting it in Galus.
Yeah.
Always our fault.
It's always our fault. Not my fault. I don't know if that's helpful to think that way, but that is the definition of Galus. The definition of Galus means that we are not behaving correctly. So why is Hashem in Galus? Because we're his behaviour. His behaviour is Torah mitzvahs.
Circular.
His expression, that's his expression. So and that's why we said many times that's what's called Nachas Ruach. Why is it Nachas Ruach? Nachas Ruach you get from watching your children behave correctly, yeah? Because that's behaviour. Ruach is emotions. So Nachas Ruach is the Rebbeinu Shloim, like doing his thing. He's got all these emotions, Toradic emotions, and he wants mitzvahs to take place. Kol Zman there aren't mitzvahs taking place, that creates Hawan Af. What's this in Hawan Af? That energy, it's got two options. Either it comes out in mitzvah behaviour, that's called Nachas Ruach, or it comes out the nose as anger, that's called Hawan Af. It's the same energy, understand? So
how does it come out in terms of mitzvahs?
When we do
mitzvahs.
Our actual
we are
expression
controlled
of Torah
from
mitzvahs.
When we do Torah mitzvahs, that's Hashem doing his thing. It's like saying my body, look, I want to tickle my hand, yeah? So now my hand is tickling my hand. Where am I in the thing? The action is taking place that my hands are rubbing my hands, yeah? That's the Indian of the Jew. The Jew is like the hand of Hashem. So the Jew doing the mitzvah is Hashem doing the mitzvah. So that for him, so just like that, let's that lahavdil. If I'm angry, yeah, I've got a lot of emotional anger, yeah, and I punch a punching bag. That's like a or if you shout something, you get to the first and shout, yeah, that's called a nachas ruach in a sense. As long as you're letting off steam, yeah, so you can let it out through positive behavior, or that's called nachas ruach, or it comes out as anger. That would be called hawan af. Exactly, it's still releasing steam. You understand? So that steam can be converted into productive energy, and that would be called mitzvah. Or it comes out as an anger, which causes all kinds of yisurim for us, which gets us back in line apparently, and that would be called an hawan af. But that's what it means, that the Shekhinah's in Galus is that Hashem's expression is being impeded. And there's only one force in the world that can impede Hashem's expression. That's called Klal Yisrael. Mm-hmm. The only thing, and the only reason why there are the Ummah Olam who Messiah us is because that's the Chawan Af. Hashem is feeling frustrated. Yeah. It's like, please just pull it together. Stop being so selfish. Just take it seriously. What else you got to do? You got something better to do? You're watching hours of YouTube videos every day. Just take it seriously, please. For my sake. That's good, Lishma. For my sake. And then the Rebbeinu Shalom relaxes, and then he can say, thank God I don't have to mamash bang you around to get you back in line. That's all he wants. He doesn't want to bang us around. Chas v'shalom. It looks to me right now that some banging is going to be taking place soon. We're not finding favour in the eyes of the Ummah Olam right now. Yeah, so Hashem should help. In our own lives, we should bring up the game, which doesn't mean like working harder. It means taking yourself less seriously. Again, you want to start somewhere, start with one paper towel. Start with that. And then come back to me 2 weeks later. Yeah, make some commitments. Tell your friend you're going to be there on time and make sure you're on time. Yeah, that's a good step in the right direction. Stop with all the avoiders, the big this and that. Yeah, just start working on cutting down that phantom that we've been enslaved to for however old you are. That's how long we've been enslaved to it. And put some energies into that. And then Ma'elav, the Rebbeinu Shalom is as opposed to that's the difference. Okay,